I have a bonus. If anyone can guess where this logo's from, you get a free session with me. Just kidding. Well, mostly I want to know, do any of you four know what this logo is?
I didn't see it.
It looks like
Drake. You can't see it? Okay, so yeah, they're
Is it a snake?
Yep.
Is it a snake? I see a snake.
2 snakes. There we go. All right, it's hard. That's so neat. Well, we can talk about it after the session, after the podcast, but have a great week, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So collect your free session with Natalie.
Yes. If you get the right answer, only if you get the right answer. Defense mechanisms are strategies that we've created unconsciously to deal with super stressful and super difficult situations. And the unconscious part is where it gets tricky because the triggers happen and we're reacting to something that wasn't necessarily happening now, but it's like bringing us back to a time where it was something difficult or something really hard happened. And I tend to deal with this a lot with my clients and how they've built up the defense mechanisms in relationships. That feeling attacked definitely comes across for me personally and my clients, and it's such a true thing, Victoria. And one of the things that I love about triggers and when it comes up is that when we realize and become aware that we're being triggered, we can start identifying patterns. And then that's where my coaching comes in. I'm like, well, how often does this show up in your life? And is it the same kind of a situation? And people are like, oh, wow, yeah. Every time my mom says yellow dog, I get really angry and have no idea why, right? And so it's developing and identifying these patterns, which we can then start to work on, which then leads to healing. And I love that part about this topic. We've developed these coping mechanisms for a reason. I'm not always saying they're justified, but at some point something happens and we've developed these ways to cope. And until we recognize that it's a pattern, there's no way we can escape that pattern or heal or grow and get past it. So I love, I want everyone to know that it's okay to have defense mechanisms. We all have them. It's the best part about it is becoming aware of them, learning what they are and moving on, right? Or finding healthier coping mechanisms. And I think that's key here too.
Right. Beautiful.
I love that. Amy, I love that you use the word illuminate. Like, as you said that, I was like, yes, it's like putting a flashlight onto these triggers and the why behind the triggers. So I wanted to point that out because it was so beautiful as you said it. Like, I literally saw you putting a flashlight onto your beautiful clients and saying, hey, look at this area in your life. Mm-hmm. So it was super nice. But one way, so I talked about this earlier, identifying the patterns. Because a lot of us, like you said, this is subconscious. We don't realize that we're doing it. So similar to you, Amy, instead of just identifying what that pattern, what the emotion is, I try to get them to start looking into patterns. And then we just start questioning. And what I tend to get down to the bottom of with my clients is there's a need that's not being met. And they're not good at expressing that need not being met. And instead of verbally expressing it, they just go into their defense mechanism, which could be projection, denial, rationalization. There's so many different ones. So for me, it's definitely identifying the patterns and helping them see that it is a pattern to begin with. That was exactly what I was going to say, Amy, that we don't want to. These are some of the areas we don't really want to go into. So to your point, MJ, we can trigger our clients, and we do. We definitely do at times. And what I like to do when that happens is invite them to become a little more vulnerable and show them that it's safe to let stuff out, even if it's not towards me, that I won't take it personal, but that go ahead, let it out, be vulnerable. Like, if I'm triggering you, let's get down to the bottom of it and say it all. And then a lot of times after they've said what they need to, they realize, oh wait, that's actually what I've been thinking about my mother or my sister, or right. It goes back to the origin, like Victoria, you mentioned that you do with them.
They are able to heal themselves. We're just there to guide them to that place, so.
Mm-hmm.
Victoria, you said handhold earlier. There's so many ways of guiding, hand-holding, illuminating. There's so many beautiful ways, and we all do it so differently. And I think that's why I love this podcast. And when we come on here, because we have such different angles to do similar things, and we have beautiful results on the other side of our clients.
Again, about the difference between what is healing and what is coaching. And I think it was something that we also mentioned in one of the masterminds that we participate in. And, you know, when we're working with healing, we're working on releasing a lot of the blockages, right? But then the coaching comes where we're ready to empower people and get into the next phase. So I think it goes hand in hand, and anyone that is looking for healing should also have some type of personal life coaching on the side for sure.
100%. And I love to tell them too, right? Like releasing those blockages and those energetic triggers, emotion, everything that's in there is so important, because the next part, like you're saying, is the action part. And that's where the life coaching comes in, because great, now you have all this knowledge, awareness, tools, but what do you do with it, right? And it's new to a lot of people. So I love that they then come into my world and we get like action plans, we start checking things off, and oh, I get so excited. One of the things I love, I was going to say one more thing about defense mechanisms. And when we illuminate them, I'm just going to use your word, Amy. It's so good. It's you're getting a sense of greater self-awareness. And with that, so much is possible. And I think that's where healing begins. That's where the next chapter begins. The actions begin when we delve into this topic that a lot of us don't want to. But when we start to get curious about it, like the level of our self-awareness just opens. And with that, opportunities, healing, growth, which is so important. And see, both of your points, Amy and Victoria, like we do have emotional wounds as humans. So having that curiosity, having the strength and desire to work through the triggers, and then coming back to a place of healing with 21 days or longer, or every 21 days, like it's a journey. And it's part of why we're talking about this today. Like all the topics we address, they're all little beautiful parts of our journey. And this one's just as important as the others. Even if you're working on your triggers and it's been past 21 days and it comes next year and you're getting triggered again, it's okay. Because, I don't want us to say that automatically you're just healed and you'll never have these triggers again. I wish that we wouldn't be human if that happened. Can you better react to Amy's point when you've worked on the trigger? Yes, but it doesn't always magically go away either. Like we are going to be triggered, and it's okay if you've been working on one, keep working on it. It gets better and it gets easier.